Okay, guys, welcome to another episode of the Marketing Interrogation Podcast. Today, we have a expert, which is a one of a kind on the show anyway, and that is Matt Wright, who is a sleep consultant. So what that basically means is he specializes in getting good sleep. And Matt is also well known for being the right-hand man of Akbar Sheikh. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. Akbar is a well-known marketer who helps people scale their businesses to 7 figures. And Akbar relies on Matt to do everything, his organization, his technical stuff. So basically, Akbar told me that he could not survive, well, his business anyway, without Matt. So anyway, Matt, a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Great, man. Okay, so Matt, the first question is, before you started working for Akbar, and I know you're pretty young, right? Sorry, how old are you?
I am 23.
Right, you're 23. And okay, before you started to work for Akbar, and before you started getting into the sleep consultation, what did you do?
This is a funny story. It can be long or it can be short, but I'll give you kind of a medium-length version. So in college, I actually went to a top 10 music conservatory and studied French horn there. So and I completed that, and I got a minor in digital media. So while I was at school, I was making a lot of videos for people, recording these music recitals. And the idea was, I read a book called The 4-Hour Workweek, which you probably heard of, somewhere in the 11th hour of college, and decided that, wow, even if I was like the top 0.01 best French horn player in the world, I probably still wouldn't live the life that I wanted. And I really hadn't spent much time thinking about where I wanted to go in life. And so I feel like it took me like 2 years to actually shift from like Matt the musician into like just having my own desires and being able to make my own decisions. So I finished school and I moved back in with my parents, and the idea was that I was already supposedly connected with some professional musicians from high school that I was going to, offer my services to, but the number of music recitals was exponentially lower in the Dallas area where I live. And so those ads started hitting me, live the life of freedom, create a digital agency. And I was like, well, I guess I can try that, the work from home thing is cool and everything, and I'd probably charge more and all this. So I got one of those courses and I went through it, and I tried the truth is I didn't try long enough at it to start getting clients for that. And the truth is I also had basically no training in marketing. The course I got is a good course, but it trained you in how to run the agency, not how to deliver on the services. So you weren't going to be the employee, you're going to be the owner, which is awesome. It worked out very well. And so while I was living with my parents, it was basically just dead end. Because we live like an hour and a half outside of Dallas. So if I was to get a job, it would have been, an hour and a half commute, easy. And if you do the math, actually, there's a cool site called Mr. Money Mustache. He calculates that it's around $20,000 per year to commute, even something like 20 minutes. So if you're earning like
20,000.
Yeah, I'm not joking.
Right.
Yeah. So I was like, look, Mom, Dad, can you guys help me out? I just want to move closer to the Dallas Fort Worth like center. So if I have to drive, then at least it's not going to destroy my earnings. And they said, okay, we'll help you out. And right at the same time, about 8 weeks, it's crazy how it all came together. About 8 weeks prior to that, somebody shared this Facebook Live of Akbar with me, and I was like, who's this guy? I had no idea. And I didn't watch much of the live, to be honest, but it's like looking for executive assistants. I was like, oh, okay, So I sent him a message, and he wanted like a video application. And I just sent him a message. I was like, hey, I'm trying to do this marketing agency thing. Maybe I can help you out. And no response. And so, I just kept doing the same stuff, trying to get clients for this agency thing I was doing, and also doing some freelance video gigs because that's what I do. And then one day, about 8 weeks later, I got the idea. I was like, oh, I should look in the marketing section of Craigslist. And so I do, and Akbar's ad is there with his phone number on it. And I'm like, wait, isn't this like some like high paid like business consultant dude? Why is his phone number here? Anyways, I don't know if I called or texted him, but for about 3 days in a row, it was just, here, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And it was like, yes, yes, yes. Okay, I can't do that, but talk to this person. I ended up being a good fit. We worked part-time for like 3 days, and then he just picks up his phone and is like, "Hey, Matt, I think we got too much work to do. What do you think about going full-time?" And I was just like, stamp. And so, yeah, I found him on Craigslist.
Wow. Okay. So
Yeah.
that's funny. So you saw him on Facebook Live, and then a few months later, you saw him on Craigslist?
Yes. And what I realized is I realized that there was a gap, that he had been looking for someone for so long. It was like 8 weeks or something gap. And I was like, look, he can't find someone. Like, anybody could step in and get this position. And so I talked to him, and I could do the work. And so I got it.
Right. Okay, Matt, from what I know, Akbar has quite high expectations, right? Because doing what he does, right, he needs to hire like the best, obviously. So maybe an embarrassing question for you, actually, to blow your own trumpet. What do you think, like what qualities did you think you had that made Akbar hire you?
I was already somewhat familiar with the internet marketing space. Like, he and I were almost opposite personality types. Like, I'm hyper organized and he's not very organized. So, you know, we come into a work day and it's like, oh man, we have so much stuff to do. And the first question I say is, well, what stuff? Like, I have my list here. What do you want to work on? What do you want to prioritize? So he helps me prioritize what I'm doing, and I help him keep track of what's being done and making sure that it gets done.
Right. Okay. What's it like working for Akbar? Is he ass, or is he very demanding, or what's it like?
It's something new every day. You know, it's really special. It's a really special opportunity. I mean, I'm 23. This is like my first full-time job. Most other people are working, you know, they're praying for some job at a faceless corporation with like an internship. And I get some pretty cool perks working with him. So it's a really interesting dynamic, because I'm not so much, you know, it's not a standard kind of employee relationship. It's I work side by side with him, and if something needs to be done, I got to step in and do it and make sure that it works. You know, it's not, oh, you know, this guy didn't do it over here. I can't just, there's no delegation, you know, below me.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm sure you've got a dream job for a lot of marketers. So how did you get into sleep consulting? Is that what you call it? Sleep consultation or sleep consulting?
It's coaching, consulting, you know,
right.
I help people figure out how to sleep better in a way that works for them. Okay. And how it happened was, I was posting on social media, actually, with no intent. Like, I just think these glasses and these, you know, these weird tricks are just really cool, and I like to learn them. And so I was just posting how I was getting these amazing results through this sleep tracking app. And one of my friends asked me, was like, hey, you know, my brother doesn't sleep very well. Could you help him out? You know, we'll make it like a paid thing for you and everything. And I was like, sure. You know, I probably know enough stuff to, you know, bring him from step 1 to step 2 at least. And so we got into it, and I got him a result on night number 2, which was cool.
Right.
But maybe you haven't seen yet, but there's a big update to this, and that is, I've actually been considering for a few months, and I made the jump the other day to get a certification in what's called functional medicine. So from now on, I won't just be helping people with sleep. I'm going to be helping people who, my interest is really helping people who are at kind of a normal performance level and take them to an extraordinary performance level. And sleep is part of that. So I still retain a specialty in sleep, but you have to understand that symptoms like poor sleep or weight gain or like poor eyesight or even behavioral disorders, they're the end result of dysfunction in the body. So you have dysfunction, and repeated dysfunction is disease. And then when you have disease, you have symptoms. So if I go up to someone, they say, oh, I can't sleep well. And I say, well, you know, wear these crazy glasses and tape your mouth shut and, you know, like take this pill and do all this. I'm only treating the surface level problem. So it's about to get a whole lot more deep, and I'm really excited for that.
Right. Okay. So Matt, if I'm correct, you are going towards the performance, increasing a person's performance level.
Yeah.
Yeah. Such as, I don't know, sleeping, focus, physical, and yeah, athletic wise. Is that right?
Yeah, truthfully, I haven't studied the workout portions much, but it's just basically what I do, whether it's sleep or food, or if it was exercise or something, is I provide information and accountability. So if somebody has the information but no accountability, they know to make the right choice, but there's nobody telling them that was, they're reaffirming and keeping track, helping them keep track that that was the right thing to do, right? And then if you have just accountability, but they don't know the information, they could say, oh, well, I tried to do this today, but I didn't know what to do. So if you contact someone every day, you could do a text, you could do messenger, you could do, a phone call or something. And you give them information, hey, this is what to do. And you give them exactly how to do it. And you just give them one new little thing a day. Like, hey, tonight, I just want you to go to bed at this time, and your target, wake up time is this time. So does that make sense?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So Matt, can you describe how did you learn so much about sleeping? Because I do know that that you've already started to accept consultation on sleeping. Yeah. So how do you learn so much about on this topic?
I read a whole lot and I experimented a whole lot. So it kind of started in 2013, actually, when I was talking to my college resident assistant, or RA or whatever. And she said, oh, hey, yeah, there's this cool website and it'll tell you like when to go to sleep and when to wake up. And I was like, oh, really? Like, is that why some days I just like wake up and I just feel like crap the whole day? And wait, I can fix that and like control that? Like, really? And she's like, yeah. And so she used it like once or twice. But I like got obsessed with it. And so I got a little app on my phone, and it tells you that you take about 15 minutes to fall asleep, and then you sleep in these 90-minute cycles. And every time that I would sleep through my alarm or just not get up, I would naturally wake on the second cycle. And I've been using at least that since 2013. And then it was last year, 2017, when I found out about this sleep tracking app. And I was like, well, how well do I sleep? And so I started tracking, and I was only in like the 60% sleep quality. And it was just kind of a game, It's like, well, what can I do to improve that score? And so I started tracking something like over like 30, I wouldn't say variables, but I just started tracking like 30 different things. Oh, does magnesium help? Does wearing a blindfold help? What's the room temperature? What position did you sleep in? Just asking every single question you could. And I just read more and more, and I would try these things out. And I kept the ones around that had a significant enough effect.
Right. Okay. Because when I was, before I got to 40, in my 40s, right? Before that, I used to say, sleep is natural, right? There's nothing special about it. I mean, I go to sleep, no problems. But no, the past recent 2 years, sleep has been a problem. So I was thinking, right, this is something which people actually they do need in some points in their lives. It's so important, because I've seen how much like sleep affects my performance in running my business. So I guess one of the questions I want to ask you, Matt, is can you give a brief rundown on how you would help someone, an entrepreneur like myself, for example, who have sleeping problems? How would you go about helping them?
Well, there's kind of three things I do. And the first one is I actually use, there's a very helpful quiz. I want to redesign it for myself, but I got to use his for now. And it's called the Chronotype Quiz by Dr. Michael Breus. And it basically, it's sort of a personality test that tells you when you should wake up and when you should go to sleep. And so there's 4 different types. There's the wolf, which is like goes to sleep really late and wakes up kind of like early afternoon, Then there's the bear, which is like 80% of people are bears. I'm a bear. And a bear is just, go to bed like 11, 12, wake up like 7 to 8, which is, like normal. And then there's the dolphin, which is just kind of crazy. If you know what dolphins do when they sleep, they just kind of sleep whenever and only shut off half their brain. And there's one other type that's really similar to bear. Oh, it's lion. And that's more like lion. Think about like a lion gets up early and hunts, but it's not excessively early. Like the dolphin's going to get up at 5 a.m. while the lion is going to get up like, 6 to 7 a.m. So still early, And for the lion, that peak performance time is kind of that like before the afternoon is going to be the ideal time for them. So with the entrepreneur type, so first I'm figuring out when they should sleep and telling them, hey, this is what your body and your lifestyle tells you to do. Why would you work against that? That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, oh, I got to get up at 5 a.m. Well, if your body says get up at 8 a.m., why not get up at 8 a.m.? You don't have to get up at 5 a.m. Okay, so then the next thing I do is I have my own little quiz / diagnostic sheet I've developed, which is just looking for holes in their sleeping habits. So some of the questions are like, does the room have mold? Is the room humid? Is it hot? What position do you sleep in? What have you tried to help with your sleep before? And how does that work? Just very, very general questions like that. And then the last part is figuring out kind of what's going on in people's heads before they go to sleep. Because especially with the entrepreneur type, they almost feel like guilty going to bed. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm thinking about all this stuff I have to do the next day. And so I'm figuring out why exactly that is, and then helping them pick a system or a method of ridding themselves of that mental burden. So recap is figure out what times you're meant to sleep, and then figure out holes in your sleeping habits, and then figure out what's going on in your head before you sleep, and give you things to go around that, to overcome that.
Right. Okay. You mentioned something about a sleep tracking app.
Yeah.
What's the name of that app?
That app is called Sleep Cycle.
Sleep Cycle. Okay. And it's on the iPhone and Android, I suppose.
Yeah. So it looks like this.
Okay.
It focuses.
Okay, great. So you said we sleep in 90-minute cycles. So what does that mean actually?
So basically, it's funny. I actually haven't read much on brain states and REM sleep and everything. I just know when I feel good, which is arguably better. So basically, when you're first going to sleep, so think about like the top of a graph is like most awake, and the bottom of this graph is most asleep. And so you take about 15 minutes to fall asleep, and it takes you 45 minutes to get into deep sleep for a little bit. And then after that 45 minutes, you start coming out of deep sleep. And all those valleys in that graph are when you don't want to wake up. You definitely don't want to wake up. And that's those days you feel tired the whole day. And when you wake up at the top of those peaks, that's when you feel really great.
Okay, so that is why sometimes when you sleep a lot, or you think you sleep a lot, you still feel tired. While sometimes if you sleep a few hours, you feel all right.
Yes, yeah. There's more reasons than that. One of the things that's really fascinating to me that I've started experimenting with and learned about recently is that people with sleep apnea go to sleep and they don't feel rested. And that's because when you go to sleep, the way your body needs oxygen to actually recover it. And when you breathe through your mouth, you actually get 5 times less oxygen than when you breathe through your nose. So, 5 times. So if you go to bed and you're sleeping with your mouth open, it causes this insane plethora of problems, which are it offsets your mouth pH, which can screw up your teeth, and you don't get the oxygen, so you don't feel rested. So, in that case, it depends. It depends on why the nasal cavity is blocked, right? So if somebody has, like, for example, something called a deviated septum, which is they can't just straight up can't breathe through your nose as well because of the way the body is built, versus if you just have like some allergies or something. So if you're waking up feeling tired, the first things I would look at are you waking up at the right time, and are you breathing through your mouth?
Right, because I've read something on sleep apnea as well, and then there are like sort of these holders like you wrap around your head.
Yeah.
So like it keeps your mouth shut. So I suppose that will help you breathe through your nose and get a lot better sleep.
Well, a lot of those masks actually add, I think they add humidity, but they definitely add oxygen to it actually. And so another way around this, there's actually something called mouth taping, which sounds really scary. But if you've ever been sick and you wake up in the middle of the night and you can't breathe, like I'm, you know, when I first told people about this, they're like, won't you die if you like shut your mouth when you're breathing? I'm like, not if you're breathing from your nose and you're in the right position. So you just take medical tape just like this. I got like 3M. This cost me like $2 or $3 for a whole roll, right? And you just take you can take a little kind of square sized piece and stick it to your shirt or, you know, sheet a few times to get the stickiness off. And then you can just stick it right over your mouth. So you do 3 little squares across your lips, and then you do one back across it. And so long as your nose is clear, that's gonna force you to breathe through your nose, and you'll feel better. And even though I don't really have problems with this, I still do it because the more you use your nose, actually, the better it gets at doing its job of being open and breathing. So looks like this. Okay. And then
Right.
so one right here, and then one across.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's something new. I haven't heard that one before. Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's a little wild.
Well, what about diet? Well, what would you recommend to eat or not eat?
I mean, you could go down many rabbit holes with diet. But as it pertains to sleep, I think the most important thing is to not be eating, ideally within 2 to 3 hours before bed. Because if you're eating and then your digestive system is on while you're sleeping, while you're laying down, what can actually happen is that it's much easier for stomach acid to come up and to aggravate your throat, you know, basically get acid reflux symptoms, and also you just don't digest as well. So, I mean, my biggest tip there would just be disciplined when you have food. Understand that if you try to go to bed and you have all that food in your system, you're not going to feel good the next day. And for me, I always value feeling good long-term over like, you know, feeling good in the moment. So, so whenever I finish dinner or something, I just say in my head, okay, I'm done with food for today. And the only thing that I'll have later that night is, sometimes you just want like a flavor in your mouth, you know, is I'll have like tea with honey. You know, I really just try not to eat after I finish dinner though.
Right. Okay. Okay, Matt, if someone wants to have a consultation with you on their sleep to improve their sleep, so how do you do it? They reach out to you, then you have a consultation, call them, and then how long does this consultation last or this coaching last?
Well, it depends on what works for them, right? Because different people have different routines. Some people will want like a phone call every day, you know, maybe that's too much for me, or maybe that's too much for them. Maybe they want to text every day, you know, so the deliverability also matters a lot, you know. But generally I work on a period of about 2 weeks. And I feel like that's enough time for me to start to get 2 or 3 habits in place and show a result with them. I handle all the consults myself. There's no one else. It's just me. And so basically we just no, we just run through those 3 quizzes, those 3 sets of questions I have, and you know I'll spend an hour on the phone with someone if it takes that long. If they don't talk as much and they just answer the questions, we can get through it a little bit faster. But it's nice to get to know people and not to just say here you go, you know, and then send them this faceless text, or you know, just call them because you feel like you have to. You know, I like getting to know people too.
Right. Okay, Matt, is there a routine you set for yourself to have a really good day performing, or a typical routine?
Yeah. Okay. So right now, for those just listening, you can't see, but I'm actually wearing these blue blocker glasses, and I was really skeptical if they made as much of a difference as they did. But basically, I get up and I work from basically 9 to 5 at a computer. And then when I get done, I work on other video projects, or I'm studying right now, studying a lot on the computer. And so I started wearing these glasses all day. And it's only been 3 days. And now when I look at a computer screen without these glasses, or I'm around like harsh LED lighting or like fluorescent lighting, I'm always wearing these because basically what the blue blockers do, or what blue light does in your body, is when you walk outside, right, and it's a blue sky, your body knows, oh, okay, it's day. But when it's 11 p.m. and you're still blasting yourself with blue light, your body doesn't ever start to get into its own sleep mode. So as far as routine for me, it depends on the day. But on the ideal day, so I haven't stayed up insanely late. I don't have to get up insanely early. On the ideal day, typically what I'm doing is I'm trying to wind down my mind at around 10 p.m. So, because I mean, I could sit on the computer 24/7. You know, there's always something to do. So basically, I'm trying to wind down my mind. So, you know, limiting technology and talking to people. Actually, talking to people is one of the things that activates the brain most. So you need to be doing activities. You need to come up with your own list of activities of stuff you can do before bed, which is not going to be strongly stimulating to your brain. So things you could do are fill up your water container for the following morning. You could, you know, set out your supplements. You could, you know, put the coffee filter in, like just get a list of really, really small things and have a time that you say, okay, this is when I start doing this set of activities, and it becomes like a little program for yourself. So you don't even have to think about it. So for me, winding down around 10:30, and one of the first things I do is I take my contacts out and I switch from wearing the blue blockers to actually wearing these red glasses, and these block even more light. So ideally, you'll wear those for about 30 minutes before sleep. And
sorry, Matt. Well, what are those glasses?
So the set I'm wearing is it's by TrueDark, and I forget the exact product name, but there's a orange set and there's a red set, and the red set blocks even more bands of light than the orange set does, and so that lets your body really start to get into that sleep mode before you're done doing things like, you know, putting the coffee filter in, or you know, cleaning your kitchen, or you know, loading the dishwasher, you know, just little simple calm things like that, not with people.
Right. I know there's some blue light filter on the phones as well. Mm-hmm. Do they work?
You know, what's funny is I do recommend them because it reduces eye strain, but it has been actually shown recently that does not help. That actually does not help as much as wearing the blue blockers does. So I strongly recommend wearing the blue blocker glasses over just using the night shift or Flux or Twilight on Android in order to get this effect.
Right.
I can say that getting blue blockers and wearing them as much as I'm around harmful light, which is computer screens, fluorescent lights, LED lights, it's been the best investment I've made for my sleep, because you buy them once and they will last you a lifetime. Right?
Okay.
So back to the ideal sleep routine. So winding down around 10:30, I take my contacts out and I put on the red glasses. I dim the lighting in my house. So there's like a single like hall light I'll use, and I have a little salt lamp by my bed. Then I have a little remote and I shut off my Wi-Fi. So one, nobody's really contacting me. And number two, I've lowered the amount of EMF exposure I'm getting, at least in my own house. I live in apartments. So, and then, the three biggest things I've been doing is, after I lay down, I, put my sleeping mask on. And what that does is basically a single tea candle is enough to actually disturb your sleep and actually start to cause symptoms of depression. So your room needs to be really, really dark. Really dark. No blinking lights, get the alarm clock out of there. I just use my phone. So I actually unplugged my alarm clock the other day. I was like, you don't even need this anymore. So I'm putting on the sleeping mask. I take magnesium and fish oil, ideally within an hour or 30 minutes before bed. So it gives some time to take effect before you lay down. And the magnesium is used in over 500 processes in the body, especially related to circulation. But one of the most obvious effects it has is it will help you relax, and it's a wonderful thing to take before sleep, and I highly recommend it. It's not expensive, you can get about a 2-month supply for around $20. Get the Calm magnesium supplement. That's a good one. And then the fish oil is actually really cool because the fish oils benefit your brain. And while you're sleeping is when your body does all its repair. Then because the fish oils are full of fat, you're actually starting to stabilize your blood sugar a little bit while you're sleeping. So if you wake up and then you don't feel tired, but you feel like low energy, like, oh my gosh, I need to eat something, then having fat before you go to sleep is actually gonna help with that. So basically, I lay down in bed, I put on my sleeping mask, I oftentimes tape my mouth, and because I live close to the airport, there's these jets going overhead. It's not particularly loud, but it is enough to disturb sleep, actually, I've found. And so the past couple nights that I've done all three of those things, which are primarily, I would say, using the sleeping mask, which is extremely cheap, using earplugs, which is extremely cheap, you will still wake up to your alarm, and mouth taping, I get over 90% sleep quality just doing those like three things and having a nice kind of wind down routine. All that stuff's free, right?
Right. Okay, excellent. Yeah, because I just had some black curtains. Installed, and they helped a lot, but I haven't tried the eye mask. So.
Yeah. I mean, this one was from like an airline or something. Like I didn't even buy it.
All right. Okay. So, Matt, the question I want to ask you is, what type of person would you say you are?
Well, it's funny. I asked a lot of people recently, and all of them said I was very determined. But I look around at my life at the number of things I have completed and have not completed, and I give a good impression of people that I'm determined, but I'm not sure if I've completed as many things. I'm definitely optimistic, though. I'm always optimistic. I think not what can I control in like a negative way, but I take responsibility for my life, and that was a big shift I had in college. I read a book called Learned Optimism, which showed that you can actually teach dogs to sit in a cage and accept the pain of an electric shock, even when they were given an escape. And so I looked around at my life and was like, oh my gosh, I've been playing the victim this whole time. And if I just like took responsibility, my life would be so much better. Why don't I just do that? It was one of those things where as soon as you realized what the problem is, you were able to make an immediate change. So optimism is the most definite marker of my personality.
Right. Okay, Matt, one last question, final question. That is, okay, if somebody wants to contact you for consultation on sleep or whatever, where could they find, what's the best way to go to contact you?
I'm working on getting a website and everything set up right now, so it'll have all the fun information on it. But the best place to contact me is just via Facebook. And if you add me, please send me a message, or I will not accept you, because I'm getting around 3 friend requests a day right now, and nobody sends me a message. I don't know who they are. And I actually have my own sleep book, which is all of the information from all the sources I've read. And there's the people in the essential oils realm and the Cajun water realm and the biohacking realm and the this and that realm. And I took all that information and I put it in one document. So you can sit there and really figure out what's going to work. It's pre-release, but if somebody does add me and messages me and they say that, hey, I heard about Matt on Alan's podcast, I will send them my pre-release copy of that book. Oh,
excellent. Great.
Yes.
So, Matt, what is the link to Facebook?
The link is facebook.com. Let me see. Gosh, we got to pull it up. Facebook.com/. Oh, okay. Yeah, you can put it in the show notes there. Yeah. It's facebook.com/matthew.wright.315.
Yep. And Wright is spelled W Wright and .315. Okay. Yep. So anyway, that will be in the description. So guys, if you want some good sleep and good performance, contact Matt and say hi, message him on Facebook. Okay, Matt, it's a pleasure having you on the show. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Thank you. Talk soon.
Right. Okay, talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.